This is Hannibal from thehannibaltv.com with a daily wrestling news update. Some sad news to report. Mr. Wrestling 2, otherwise known as Johnny Walker, passed away. It was reported yesterday at the age of 85. I believe he was by far the most popular in the Atlanta wrestling territory and was known for his mask that he very rarely, if ever, took off. In fact, he even had a cancer surgery done with a mask on. From what I understand, I actually used a picture of that surgery. That was from his friend Johnny Grayton's Facebook page, who I'm friends with. And I'll read you what his friend wrote about him, because I didn't know much about him. He says of Mr. Wrestling 2, he says, "My friend was my favorite wrestler, the great Johnny Walker, better known as Mr. Wrestling 2. I loved him. He passed away today. We allowed him to wear a mask during his cataract surgery. I have never shared this memory until now. I had the honor of operating on both Johnny Walker and Thunderbolt Patterson. They both related that early in their careers, they became one of the first interracial tag teams. They helped integrate pro wrestling. When Mr. Wrestling 2 was in Warner Robins one night, Johnny took him out for dinner with a friend of his, and they spent time encouraging the young friend at dinner. And Mr. Wrestling 2 let the kid that was with Mr. Grayton wear the mask for a period of time. So that's a nice memory from Johnny Lee Grayton about Mr. Wrestling 2. In other wrestling news, NXT UK hasn't held an event in the UK since March the 6th. And their July events have been canceled. Apparently, there's been some complaints from fans that Charlotte Flair is being used a lot on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Well, people like her. They are using her a lot. People are getting sick of her. And apparently, WWE is not going to be signing new wrestlers anytime in the foreseeable future. Due to everything that's going on and things being cut back according to reports. But if live events get going, I heard Dave Meltzer say recently on the Wrestling Observer newsletter, they may not go back to as many live events ever, but for sure at first, they probably won't do that many live events after the lockdown ends, if it ever fully ends. I read today that the vaccine at the earliest won't be coming out until towards the end of 2020 at the earliest. And I'm sure people are still going to be freaked out until then. I haven't worn a mask or anything, but I actually don't like going out or being around people because I hate being around people and seeing how freaked out they are. I wish the gyms were open where I live, as I say every day, but I don't understand how tens of thousands of people can protest, and that's allowed, but gyms can't open if people keep social distancing in gyms. I have no idea why. In UFC news, the UFC 250 prelims had an average of 775,000 viewers on ESPN last Saturday. That's down from the previous month's prelims that had 1,150,000 viewers. Michael Bisping is going to be, or Michael Bisping rather, is going to be making his pay-per-view UFC commentary debut at UFC 251. And that's the wrestling and MMA news of the day.